welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigkin. But this is not no ordinary Inside the Pigkin. I have a special guest, my longtime friend, OJ McDuffie. OJ and I covered the Dolphins, and he was the guy I used to go to when I needed some information, quotes. When I needed somebody, I went to OJ. OJ, glad to have you back on, my friend.
Man, I appreciate you having me on and the whole cast of characters here, man. So I'm looking forward to having a fun time and, talk about pretty much whatever. It's going to be a fun night.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Reunited.
Captain Danny. Good to see you, my friend.
There you go. Hey, listen, I'm a bad singer, so I won't do that. All right.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, Scott. So just sometimes some songs just got to let go, man.
Yeah.
No,
stay in your lane, bro. Stay in your lane, my man.
Yeah, we're trying to get viewers. We're not trying to lose viewers.
Hey, OJ, if this is a Memorex class, I would have broken the darn thing anyways. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a mess.
The only time I don't stay in my lane is when I'm speeding past people on I-75 and 95, and that's when I become the interstate intimidator like Dale Earnhardt Sr. was. But that's it.
Some people just drive too damn slow in those lanes, man.
Is that the truth or what?
Yeah, if they want to drive that slow, get the hell over, man. Just get over there in that far right.
70 to 75 should be in the right 2 lanes. Everybody faster in the left.
Correct.
Hey, OJ, did you know that I took about 12 laps around the Homestead Speedway when my buddy Russell, gosh, I'm now losing a blank.
Russell's cool.
You know who I'm talking about? Russell Branham?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Oh, this guy here asked me if I wanted to drive around the track, and I said, "Are you serious?" Yeah. And I have a certificate in my house. I'll show you a copy when we get together. 147.5 miles an hour or 6, whatever it is, around Homestead Speedway. I'll show it to you just to make a.
Are you bragging about that mile per hour? I took hot laps at the F1 track. You know what I mean? So if I know you're not bragging right there, Scott.
Well, I might listen, OJ. That one I might be bragging a little bit because at least I didn't have to worry about Smokey chasing down the bandit there. At least it's all right, well, you know what? I am kind of bragging about that one. All right, let's get to the show and have a lot of fun because as I promised OJ, okay, I was going to give his first act a really interesting one to let you know what kind of topics we have. Do you own a dog at all, OJ?
I don't want to what?
Do you own a dog?
I used to, yes.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We're going to start off with a dog tonight because I love pets, okay? And here's where we're going with this one. Snoopy is the mascot for this high school in L.A. Charles Schultz, the creator of the Peanuts cartoons, gave permission to Loyola College Prep School in Louisiana to use Snoopy as their mascot. Fast forward today, they're still known as the Flyers. How about that, OJ? We're breaking in with Snoopy. What do you think about Snoopy being a mascot?
Yeah, I love Snoopy. Snoopy's one of the coolest dogs ever. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't find much cooler than Snoopy, man. And the way he handled the whole Charlie Brown cast, man, he was money there, man, without saying a word. Snoopy was dope.
I tell you what, Snoopy helped me get my college education. I used to have little Snoopy things hanging in my Chevy Chevette there with the sun. Chevette. Yeah, well, that goes back to your Chevy Chevette.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's it.
If that hit over 90 miles an hour, you were in danger.
It was about to fall apart. It would be falling apart at 90 miles.
Yeah. But Snoopy helped me get to college at USF. If I needed to talk to somebody, he was always there to listen because he didn't talk back. I have to feed him. It was a nice talk to have back then. All right, but anyways, Jeremy, some talks about Snoopy in Louisiana.
That's a really cool story about that. I love it. It's something different. Now, since they're called the Flyers, is it him on the Red Baron version of the doghouse?
I have no idea. I don't go that deep. I'm just telling you about Snoopy, brother.
But that would be really cool because then they could do that old Bloody Red Baron song from the 50s.
Yeah, there's some great dogs though, man. That you see on TV, the Old Yellers, the Hooches. There's some really great dogs out there that have been Lassie, of course, that have made some great appearances on TV. I think Eric might be too young for Lassie, though. I don't know if he can. I don't know what the hell Lassie
was like
is.
Really Lassie was early childhood. I do recall Lassie a little bit.
What about Cujo? You remember Cujo?
Cujo, yeah, exactly.
That crazed dog in the horror movie. I know of it.
So give me a little second here. I want to show you guys. There is.
It is.
Yes.
All right, there you go.
What a call out.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
How you
That
like
is
that,
awesome.
OJ?
That is awesome.
I love it.
That is the
Now,
Red
in
Baron
the
Snoopy too.
background,
That's the
Yeah,
Red
yeah,
Baron
that's
Snoopy
the
right there too.
Yeah.
Certainly is.
And in the background, I hear that song 10, 20,
Yes.
30, 40, 50
Oh,
or
yeah,
more.
Yeah, it's got the
Yes.
doghouse, his flight hat, and all.
Right.
That's
Yep, that's the logo.
Way to go.
Now, if I was playing against that high school, I wouldn't be too intimidated by that. You know what I mean?
No, no.
You got bears
Exactly.
and hawks and lions and tigers and stuff like that. Now, Snoopy, I might like, you know what? We might be able to handle these guys. You know?
Yeah.
Unless they have a holographic helmet where it turns towards you and you see the machine guns.
Yeah,
Right.
great point. Great point.
Well, Eric, since he thinks you're too young for this, why don't you go ahead and you have your opportunity to ask about it?
Well, you know, obviously you can't go wrong with Snoopy. I mean, there's no dog that has more swagger on television than Snoopy, or in the comic books for that matter. Because the guy can do literally just about anything he imagines.
Whoa, that was rude, but I like it, Danny. He goes,
Oh,
was Scott
Danny.
the only one alive when Snoopy was
He was
created?
created.
Yeah,
It's okay. It's okay, Danny. It's okay, Danny.
Yeah.
Am I really tipping my hat about how old I am about Snoopy? All right, Eddie, what do you think?
Oh, I think it's great, and I think it poses for a terrific trivia question because nobody would ever even get that because until you said it, Scott, I had no idea. But I think as soon as you start talking about it, as everybody's been saying, Snoopy is an icon that transcends time and people, and still to this day, kids are watching all the Charlie Brown holiday specials, Christmas, Easter. And you know, for a dog, the dog has a terrific imagination on how to set himself up. You know,
Love you too. Love you too, Danny. See, OJ.
We got a new viewer from my side over there. Elizabeth Hutchings says hello.
Great stuff. All right. So, hey, are you having fun right now that the first topic that you're getting hit with is Snoopy?
Absolutely. That's the way to get it started right there. There's no better way to get it started.
Absolutely.
Talking about Snoopy.
So,
don't forget Thanksgiving and the Great Pumpkin. You know.
oh
so
yes, exactly.
Come on now.
Yes.
I really want to see if everybody likes the logo I created. Did you see it, Candy?
I did see it. I haven't had a chance to. I downloaded it, but I haven't.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's okay. Let's continue on here.
Yep.
And we could talk about Snoopy all day long. And
Doesn't Candy?
Wait.
Doesn't Candy and Mel get to talk about it?
Your researcher has to talk about it.
No, go
go ahead.
on. No, yeah, Snoopy's a cool guy. I always enjoyed watching Charlie Brown. Snoopy was always a cool customer. I think that's pretty cool mascot to have. But no, we can go on and move to the next topic. Enough said about Snoopy.
Oh, that's okay. Got Snoopy, Charlie
One
Brown.
last thing I want to say is it was a French teacher at the school who wrote a letter back in 1966 to Peanuts creator Charles Schultz for permission to use them. And they actually have a live beagle puppy that they use named Fire to act as their physical mascot.
Nice.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
There
That's
we go.
awesome.
Don't they have a
That's
beagle
great.
farm? Do they have a beagle farm? Because you got to always prepare for the next beagle that's going to come along. Like a lot of mascots they have in different sports, you got to have a collection of beagles. You got to start breeding them. They got to go to a breeder, make sure they're 15, 16, 17-year-old beagles out there instead of some of the ones that unfortunately don't make it very long. So yeah, I hope they've got a pipeline of beagles ready to go.
Amen.
I hear you.
Well, I had to start the show off on a light note. I couldn't have done any better than that. So, all right, let's continue on. The Pro Bowl viewership actually hit an all-time low, average 1.9 million viewers, which is drastically lower than the NFL's previous low for the event, 4.7 million. OJ, I'll start off with you again. What are your thoughts about the Pro Bowl? Don't you think they ought to finally get rid of this thing?
You know what? They can probably get rid of it. The game itself, I think the skills challenge is a lot of fun for those guys. You can't play every other sport. It's okay to play an all-star game. Football is not one of those. Football, you've got too much money invested in some key players, obviously, because they're in the Pro Bowl. And you can't go out there and hit these guys like you'd like to hit some of your opponents that you play against. So, it's a tough deal. Going to flag football, whatever they're doing, that's, it shows some other skills that these guys might have. But the game is way too dangerous for them to go. Even if you look at the hockey, like kind of all-star game, they don't check each other like they do regularly. They just show off their skills. Right. You can't really do that in football and get away with it. So I'm okay with the skills challenges they do. But when it comes to tackle and when it comes to hitting these guys, every single owner is cringing every time their guys got the ball, every time their guys in the pocket, or every time their wide receivers going over the middle. So I get it. You don't want to go in that situation. And trust me on this thing too. These guys a lot of times, other than Sean Taylor taking out, was that a punter?
Yeah. Same
on that punter for trying to fake a punt on him. Most of these guys want to go out there and protect each other as well, and that's why the game looks as bad as it does at times.
Okay. All right, Candy.
MD. The Pro Bowl is as entertaining as a bunch of drunk bums in South Carolina playing frisbee golf. Seriously, just release the names of the winners, play the skill games, and let the flags go away.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but
you all like a good 7-on-7 game though too, man. You like to see a little good 7-on-7. They can make I watch a lot of high school 7-on-7 down here, and that would be very entertaining in the Pro Bowl too. But you lose your linemen, you lose all the other guys that wouldn't be in a 7-on-7 competition. But I think what they should do is just go straight 7-on-7 with running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers, and I think it'd be more entertaining that way.
And make one of the other skill positions play the quarterback position.
All of them think they can throw. Everybody thinks they're the emergency quarterback on the football team. Hell, I played emergency quarterback for us for like 4 weeks, and I was scared as hell that they're going to put me in. So, nobody wants that job. That's for damn sure.
So let me ask you, you bring up an interesting point. I think one of the reasons that they keep the Pro Bowl, I know that there's a lot of money involved with players and so forth. So in terms of bonuses, and I'll get to everybody. I'll make sure I go around the horn so everybody has the opportunity on all these topics. But OJ, obviously, you're the point man for a lot of these things because you played the game, especially at the level that you did. But don't you think that this game has been continued? Because obviously players have incentives in their contracts to be able to reach those. Because let's face it, the shelf life of an NFL player is far lower than a lot of the other sports that we're dealing with.
Absolutely. I think it's still less than 3 years, or just a little bit over 3 years.
Right.
And I think, but you look at it now, the way the Pro Bowl is set up, you get two teams that are going to the Super Bowl. None of those guys are going to the Pro Bowl, and they probably have 8 each on each team. If their team is that good, they probably got 5 to 8 Pro Bowlers on that football team. And you got so many guys that opt out. So many guys opt out of it because it's not worth the the headache, or they have to have surgeries or whatever it might be. But just to be named among the best of the best, I don't care. You might be the 6th alternate and get into the Pro Bowl. It's still an honor. And honestly, like you said, Scott, it's money. If you're named to the Pro Bowl, that's an incentive that, that could add, 50, 60, 100 grand in your pocket. So, it's an honor no matter what, though, to be playing amongst those guys and be able to hang out with those guys. I never made the Pro Bowl, obviously, but, it was like, for those guys that do have a chance to go, it's still an honor no matter what.
Well, it's funny how you say that because I actually covered a Pro Bowl game in Miami, and Jerry Green of the Detroit News covered every Super Bowl until he passed away. Said, why are you going to that game? And if you know anything about Jerry Green, formerly of the Detroit News, he covered every game until he passed away until his 90s. So unbelievable. All right, so what we're going to do now for the rest of the show is I'm going to go to OJ first on all these topics. I'm going to go around the horn so everybody has an opportunity to go out there and talk and learn in place and to be fair across the board. All right. How am I doing, OJ? You think I'm doing okay? Have I learned a little bit since the day I started grilling you? I hope so. All right, Jeremy, some thoughts about the Pro Bowl.
The Pro Bowl, I wish it would go back to what it was prior to the Super Bowl era. As a matter of fact, the last time it was played that way was in 1957, where the world champion played against the all-stars of every team after the world championship was played. They gave them 2 weeks off and then had the Pro Bowl. I think that would be a much better game than what they have now. You don't have to worry about if players get injured for the playoffs. You don't have to worry about the Super Bowl team sitting out, because the bonus is the Super Bowl winning team has to play them. They get a bonus too.
Ed?
Yeah, I think no, going with what OJ was saying, no, sitting with going with the skills competition. Because if you even think in this flag football game, how easy is it to turn an ankle, pull a hamstring, rip an Achilles? I mean, even though you're not getting hit, those those injuries still loom out there. And I know probably all the owners cringe, and even the players, they don't want to. I mean, that could be money out of their pockets if something happens. So it might be better just, especially everybody's bigger and faster these days, and even moving fast trying to grab a flag, you trip, fall, you take somebody's knee out, it's an ACL, he's done for the following season, and that would be that would be kind of a sad. So to protect the players, I'd almost think of another way that they can earn compensation at the end of the year.
Eric?
The NFL's been trying for a long time to kind of make their all-star game. They make their all-star game just significantly better than what it used to be, where players would just go to Hawaii and play an exhibition game and not really put like the all effort in it. But I think part of the reason why the Pro Bowl is the way it is because the mindset on the players has changed. Owners view these guys a lot more nowadays as investments rather than guys that they could just knock around on the field. They're viewing this as like, I've sunk money into this guy. I don't want to lose him for the following season just to play a silly exhibition game. I think they should just do like what they did for a long time, which was the skills competition of accuracy, arm strength, the whole deal. It was significantly more entertaining. And also with a flag football game, I mean, you could still get hurt. I mean, through no fault of your own and through nobody else's fault of their own, you could still hurt yourself there. Because actually, I've got a personal story. A friend of mine, when we were playing a flag football game, actually broke his collarbone because he ran into somebody else. It was awful. And the same thing could happen with 250 plus men running full speed at each other, and an unfortunate accident happens. I think they should just do skills competitions, and that should be all-star game, because unfortunately owners just have sunk too much money into these guys, and they do not want that investment to go down the drain over some exhibition game where the players aren't even going all out. So like if you just go back to like the early 90s when they used to do that, or even the early 2000s, I think people can get on board with it because I think people will watch out of curiosity.
Okay, Candy?
Yeah, I agree. I think we've already expanded the league by how many weeks, and we're playing how many different weeks. I think to add to it a Pro Bowl game where you're actually hitting people, or even just flag football, risk of injury is just too great. We're paying these guys millions of money. They don't need the extra money that they got because they were elected to the Pro Bowl. I like the skills competition, though. I think that could be expanded on a little bit, and I could see that. I like that. I don't think we need anything more. I mean, the NFL is a good business. They make pretty darn good money as it is. They don't need the extra. And the guys didn't need an extra vacation to Hawaii.
Oh, they take a free one now. I'll tell you what, no matter how much money they have, they'll take a free one. That's what damn sure.
Oh, yeah, Candy, they will. You were there.
They will.
Yeah, Hawaii's different. Orlando, I don't think so much.
Right.
But, all right, Mel, you have the last word on the Pro Bowl.
So when my dad was playing, the Pro Bowl was a big deal for those guys because they weren't making the type of money that these guys are making now. And there was a time somewhere in the 90s where that scale kind of shifted to where the risk wasn't worth the reward of playing in the Pro Bowl. So when my dad played, that was an extra paycheck. They had to get jobs in the offseason to sustain themselves because what they were making during the season wasn't enough money. I remember Billy Sims, man, he used to love going to the Pro Bowl. That was like a big deal for him to go to the Pro Bowl and to perform well at the Pro Bowl. For me, I used to watch the Pro Bowl because you have an opportunity to watch all the guys that you love watching on TV all in one place. So what the fans are telling you, what the public is telling you, that nobody's watching the skills channel or watching the Pro Bowl now, is they don't like the product. The product that's being shown right now, nobody likes. I haven't watched the Pro Bowl, and I can't tell you how long because I can't stand that product. There is a way players know how to protect one another. there is a way to have a football game without players getting injured. Yeah. Is there a risk to getting injured? Yeah, obviously, because, it's a very violent game. But players know how to protect themselves, and the best way to protect yourself is to play full speed. Obviously, they don't have any blitzing or anything like that. Make sure guys aren't falling down, and players know how to protect one another and keep each other up, and so somebody's not falling down and rolling into somebody's knee or something like that. And then everything else may be live. But I think they have to figure out a way to put out a better product. Otherwise, what I would say is have like a Superstars. I used to love watching the Superstars when I was growing up. OJ, you might remember that. I used to watch OJ Simpson on the Superstars, Dale Green on the Superstars. I think even Herschel Walker was on the Superstars. I used to love watching the Superstars. They had people from different sports, obviously competing on the Superstars, but that was something that people I'd like to watch. So that was something that I would tune into. But with the product that they have right now, this flag football game that they have out there right now, and then there was times where they had other guys playing quarterback. Everybody wanted to play quarterback. That's not anything that interests me. I have no interest in watching that product right now.
Mel, can I respond to that part about playing full speed? The only way you can play football is full speed. But every single game, you watch all 16 games, if all the teams are playing in the weekend, there are 2 or 3 guys going down every single game. So you got to count on somebody going down in that Pro Bowl playing full speed, because you're right. The only way you can play the game is full speed. So if you're a linebacker and you're taking on a running back, the running back's going full speed, you're 3/4 speed, that's a problem for the linebacker, and vice versa. So the fact that they took the contact part out of it, they had to, because people play at different tempos, and some people just can't turn it off. We made the Sean Taylor reference. That was just Sean Taylor couldn't turn that off, and I love that about Sean Taylor. About the way he played the football game. So I mean, you're right. The product is rough, and you're spot on. But
really, it's the non-contact injuries that really.
Well, I mean, that part too.
It's the non-contact injuries that really affect players in their careers. I mean, things kind of change. True. Remember Robert Edwards? They tried that rookie flag football, whatever, on the beach, and they thought that would be easier on players, and he ended up tearing his knee, almost had to have his leg amputated. Things kind of changed then, as far as guys wanting to really participate in Pro Bowls.
Well, I think you hit it on the button though with the money part, though, bro. I mean, the money part is huge. The money they make is not going to affect them one iota, and if they do get hurt, knowing that football doesn't have the guaranteed contracts, only guarantees when you see the contracts and it says the G by it. The rest of it is a bunch of 1-year deals. It's not like you go out there and you play basketball and you got $235 million guaranteed. That's your money. You got that. Baseball the same way. Football, they're not willing to take that risk. I'm with you on that.
Okay, great stuff. I love the chemistry amongst all of y'all. So let's talk about the Hall of Fame.
You bring up a great point. If they get
Go ahead, Will.
No, I was saying he was spot on with that. I forgot to bring up that point, but because if you guarantee the money, they have a better product out there. If the players' contracts were guaranteed,
right? OJ, tell me what you think about this, because they are talking about expanding it to the 18-game schedule. And I said week 9, the trade deadline should be like a mandatory bye. And then half the league can have their buys from weeks 2 to week 8. And the other half can have it from week 11 through week 16, and make it so the first and last week don't have a bye week. And then the middle week of the trade deadline be a bye week. And you could make the Pro Bowl be there if it's just skills competition.
Yeah, you're still risking injury, man. I think everybody would rather have injury at the end of the season.
No game. I'm saying just no game, just skills competition.
Yeah, any extracurricular activity could lead to an injury that on some whatever. They don't even want guys going out there playing basketball, pick up basketball during the season. They don't want them just jogging around the neighborhood during the season. And guys get, they get docked. They lose money for these off-field injuries they get, quote unquote, whatever those might be. And they're going to go to 18, Jeremy. They're going to go to 18 games. They're going to go one last preseason game. They're going to go to 18 games because, no matter what, they're still charging a lot for these preseason games, but everybody wants to see the 18 game schedule. I as a player, I would not. When they go 12, 14, 16, now 17, then probably 18. That's a lot, man. And players, the union's going to want more money for their players, as they should.
Right.
And the league is going to, have to pony it up because, like Candy said, the league makes a ton of money. They make a ton of money. And one more real game is going to make them a ton more money. So I'm with you, though. I'm part of that, man. But I think that when you go to 18, though, you got to incorporate, I think, 2 bye weeks somehow, some way.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when that happens. And what I'll do, OJ, is this. When we talk about the 18-game schedule, for sure, I'll make sure that'll be our primary topic, because that's something we're going to be talking about as we get closer to. That's a topic, if it's okay with you, OJ, I want to bring it up during the preseason, because I think that's when it's going to gain more traction as well. I'm glad that we talked about it tonight. Don't get me wrong, okay, because Jeremy brought up a good point. But by the same token, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when that's going to happen. So some other things I want to get to tonight is this. The Hall of Fame inductions are going to be coming up pretty soon. But one guy that won't be going is Bill Belichick. So there's a lot of layers to this one. So first of all, the Hall of Fame is considering voting changes, damage control because of the Bill Belichick stub. I'm going to go around the horn to keep the proper order, if that's okay with you, OJ, and that way everything circulates. Jeremy, some basic thoughts about the Hall of Fame voting changes.
Well, I like what they're doing, but at the same time, I understand a lot of it wasn't Bill Belichick hate for not voting him in the first time. If I remember right, over half of those guys that did not vote for Bill Belichick, it was because they know he'll get in. He doesn't have to get in first ballot. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. So they pushed it down the road to get people that was getting ready to come off the ballot, like Roger Craig.
Okay. Ed?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the hate for Bill Belichick or what. I think Jeremy has a good point. It's those guys that are about to fall off the ballot and bring on the newer guys to have a more sequenced way, better group maybe of guys to vote in. And Bill Belichick, kind of made his own bed over the course of his career, and he didn't make a lot of friends along the way. So, karma is a bitch sometimes.
Okay, Eric.
Well, I want to point out that Mike Shanahan hasn't gotten elected either, and Mike Shanahan won two Super Bowls and had an uber amount of success with the Denver Broncos. So I think people are forgetting about that. What also is not helping Bill Belichick is he was not very media friendly during his career, no matter how hilarious his press conferences were. But it also didn't help though that Bill Polian, I believe, is on that committee to vote. And Bill Polian has no love for Bill Belichick when Bill Belichick was having guys like Rodney Harrison and Eugene Wilson back in the day cracking Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne to the point where Bill Polian actually was on the competition committee and I don't remember the rule, but he got the rule outlawed because he was tired of Bill Belichick cracking on Marvin Harrison. So there's no love lost there when Bill Belichick was owning him for years in the AFC Championship game up prior to 2006. So there's some of that. And Bill Polian can play stupid on TV all he wants, but Bill Polian knows what he was doing. I mean, he's horrible at playing stupid, and he was a reason that Bill Belichick didn't get in. But also, there's a long ballot there, and Roger Craig, I think, should have gotten in a long time ago. And with the players who are getting in now, who go back to when I was a kid watching the NFL, you can't really tell me that Drew Brees wasn't going to get in on the first ballot now. Right. But what didn't help his cause was overall Belichick was not media friendly, and Bill Polian being on the committee, because Bill Polian has no love for Bill Belichick, especially when he was cracking on Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne during those AFC Championship battles.
Okay, there you go. We set it up for you good there, Juice.
Well, all great points, obviously. Belichick, I think that Eric's point right there with the media, the media has so much control over this, they have way too much control over who gets into the Hall of Fame instead of just going on numbers. Belichick should be, a bona fide first ballot guy, no matter what the situation is. If other guys have to wait one more year, let them wait one more year. But when you got a guy that's won 8 Super Bowls, 6 as a head man, 2 as an assistant, you know, that's those numbers right there, unprecedented, obviously. But then you got to factor in some other things, and you look at other sports where guys have been caught cheating. You know, Belichick has been caught cheating. You know, Spygate, Deflategate.
Yep.
Those things are all part of it now. And now, when Tom Brady's up, then we'll see how this new thing they're talking about is going to affect that. But I think Tom Brady's got guaranteed first ballot, but he won't be punished because Bill Belichick is being punished for what happened in that situation, and the rules will change because of that situation. And when it comes to this whole this Hall of Fame thing, there's going to be guys coming in every single year, first ballot guys, the Drew Brees guys. It's going to push guys down the road. I've got a couple of teammates of mine, the Richmond Webbs, the Mark Claytons, some guy I didn't play with, and Bob Kuchenberg. They keep getting kicked down the road because you got these first ballot guys that need to get in or should be in, or guys that are timing out that should be getting in. So the Hall of Fame, it's a tough deal for a lot of guys, man. And every team has all these guys, and you got to present your guys well. You got to give such a great argument for you guys to get in. Belichick needs no argument. Belichick should be in the Hall of Fame. He should have made first ballot and get it over with and then move on. But next year, it's kind of a punishment, I think, what they're doing for Bill Belichick, because honestly, for what I understand, it's an honor. It's a true honor to be first ballot Hall of Famer compared to just being a Hall of Famer.
Well, Jay, it's funny how you say that, because I covered Super Bowls and I talked to a lot of the writers. They do each other favors, is what they do every year, to who's going to get who in.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a lot more to this thing than most people realize. You do me a favor, I get yours in this year, next year I'll get yours, and it goes on and on. And then, unlike any of the other writers, this is one of those little fraternities is really what it is. And so I'm glad you brought that up, where everybody's getting shoved back, but ultimately they get in. But that's exactly how they operate, OJ.
But here's the thing, though, too, Scott, though. Some of these guys get in post-mortem, you know what I mean? That's not right either.
True.
They get pushed, and then next thing you know, they pass away and their family's receiving the honor from them. I like these guys that, I know a bunch of guys down here. I know a lot of guys from the 72 team.
Right.
They go to Canton every year because it's a great money-making opportunity for them. Mel said it best, man. Those guys didn't make a lot of money back then. So when they go to Canton every year, they've got these autograph sessions. They're making way more money than they made playing ball, and they should be able to enjoy that while they're alive, And that's the problem with a lot of times these guys getting pushed, and then your family members have to, take that hardware home or take the picture by the bus, and that's not right.
There's plenty of coaches too. There's also plenty of coaches that you could argue that should have been in on the first ballot. Bill Belichick's the controversial one because he's the big name. Take Dick Vermeil, for example. He won everywhere he went, won the Super Bowl with the Rams, and took a suffering Chiefs team to the playoffs. Mike Shanahan won 2 Super Bowls with the Denver Broncos, and that was their last rings up until the end of Peyton Manning there. And there are plenty of coaches there that should have been in earlier, but I think. Was Don Shula a first ballot Hall of Famer? Correct me on people.
Yes, he was.
Well, Don Shula also had an undefeated season. I mean, that's going to trump everything you could ever have. And knowing the kind of man that Don Shula is, I think he's the only one who is truly deserving of it. Jimmy Johnson wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer despite winning the Super Bowl 3 times. So I think it's just really hard with coaches just because of the players they coach, which also overshadows them in a way, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, unless your name is Don Shula, I just don't. It's just very hard to be a first ballot Hall of Famer as a coach because of the players that you either coached against or the players that you actually coached. And I think Belichick, to play the devil's advocate with Belichick, I think Belichick kind of ran into that too.
Yeah, Andy Reid will be a first ballot Hall of Fame coach.
I think so because he won in Philadelphia, which is a very rough place to coach, and he's done a whale of a job with the Kansas City Chiefs. Where at this point he is the seat, and he can leave whenever he feels like it. Right. No one's gonna fire him.
Right.
All right, Candy.
Getting into the Hall of Fame is a mystique that only a very small few get into. Part of the problem is we feel that we have to put a limit on how many get in a particular year. So does that maybe hamper like some of these players? When do they want to go? When do they want to retire? Do they want to retire the same year that somebody else is retiring? Like, let's face it, Aaron Rodgers is going to retire this year. So how many other people want to, retire in the same year if they want to be first ballot Hall of Famers? Why do we have to limit it to one coach or one senior coach or contributor? That, it's limited to 1 to 3. And I just don't understand why we feel that we have to limit it like that. I get it's not, you don't want everybody in it because you want it still to be such an honor. But I think sometimes there are some classes that, some of them should get in just because of what they did on the field, and it shouldn't matter who else is going in with them in that year. Obviously, you're not going to open it to everybody, but I think sometimes you got to make, exceptions to the rules, and Belichick should have gone in. I mean, I understand Spygate. I get that. But he still had how much success even before Spygate, and all of those. So just my 2 cents. We got
to real quick, Candy. I get what you're saying, but look at the Barry Bonds, the Roger Clemens, you look at baseball guys, you look at Pete Rose. You know what I mean? I get what you're saying. They're always going to punish these guys. They always have to pay a penance, it seems like, for whatever they do that's not right or bad for the game. It's unfortunate. You're right, but it happens, man. It's a bad deal.
There has been only 5 coaches who in the NFL who have been elected on the first ballot. George Halas and Curly Lambeau, those guys practically founded the NFL. Tom Landry, he was obviously took the Cowboys from ground zero. He also invented the 4-3 defense. And Chuck Noll, because he not only transcended a football team, he transcended an entire city, and it changed the way how Pittsburgh looks at itself. And also, obviously, your coach, OJ, Don Shula, that guy had an undefeated season. Joe Gibbs didn't get in, and that guy won with 3 or 4 different quarterbacks. So it's really hard to get in first ballot as a head coach. Yes, Belichick should have actually been elected on the first ballot, perhaps, but it's very, very hard. Vince Lombardi wasn't elected on the first ballot, and that guy practically dominated the 60s with the Green Bay Packers, and you can make the argument he changed the way that Green Bay looks at itself and made football possible in that city. So, you have to be. It's a very hard to do just because because ultimately football is a player's game. I think Mel and OJ can speak of this. But sometimes it just goes with who you coached, and who you coached against, and that's where coaches kind of run into those issues. And I think Mike Shanahan is having the same issue because the guy coached multiple great players everywhere he went.
Okay,
if you want to talk about Mike Shanahan real quick, I'm sorry, Mel. I know you're up, man. But Eric, and you could also look at Mike Shanahan's tree right now. Look at the coaches in the league under him. That tells you what a great coach he is too, right there. The guys that he has that are doing great things in the league. So I think that should all be considered as well, right?
Yep, including in Washington, where his tree is still active.
Correct.
His tree is also way better than Belichick's. I want to point out because that tree is still doing great things and has won multiple Super Bowls.
Yeah. Great stuff. I love the camaraderie. It's great stuff. Eric, you're doing a good job. Okay, I guess he does more than he's a baseball guy, and tonight he's become a football guy. And on this platform, OJ, they all become jack of all trades. And that's how they move around real well. All right, Mel, you've been patiently waiting. Well, I have a couple more things I want to talk about this, and we'll continue to move through the program. And OJ's kind enough to hang out with us for a little while to talk all football. How you doing so far? We're talking Hall of Fame. We got more stuff to talk about. You able to hang with us a little bit, OJ?
Yeah, I got a little more time. I'm loving this. This is good right
beautiful. Here. Hey, I'm glad. If you're loving it, I'm loving it, and they're loving it. It's a beautiful thing. All right, Mel, go ahead.
Yeah, you talked about Vince Lombardi. He technically was not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but they did waive the waiting period because he died in '69, then he was inducted in 1970. So they say he's technically not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but they did do something special for him after he passed away. Now, if there were, like OJ alluded to, there is something special about saying I'm a first ballot Hall of Famer. And the thing that I've said before is I don't particularly like the amount of control that the media has in voting players into the Hall of Fame, because like Terrell Owens, I mean, he may not have been all that media friendly or savvy, but his numbers spoke for themselves. He was the first ballot Hall of Famer. And if you just look at the numbers, Bill Belichick's numbers speak for themselves. No, he did not have an undefeated season, but they went 18-1 one season and lost. The only game they lost was the Super Bowl. And whether I like him or not as a person doesn't really matter. What he did on the what he accomplished on the football field is legendary and may never be done again. We may never see a dynasty like the Patriots have had in the last 20 years. That Belichick, he orchestrated that. Whether we say it was him or Tom Brady or whatever the case may be, he was the man. He was, the head coach of that football team, and he deserved to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And because of the way that the voting went, they had some older players, some players that are about to fall off the ballot. That's what you're talking about, the changes in the Hall of Fame voting. They made some changes so the players are no longer in that category anymore, because I feel Roger Craig should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. I mean, he was the first running back to do 1,000.
Yes.
He was the first one to do that.
Yeah.
He was that all-purpose back, and he should have been in the Hall of Fame. He had were his numbers gaudy like a lot of other running back numbers. No, but during a certain stretch of time, there was nobody better at what he did than Roger Craig, and he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. Should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. So, Bill Belichick didn't get in the Hall of Fame because Roger Craig got in the Hall of Fame this year. So be it. But he did deserve to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yo, can I respond to the Mad Yinzer real quick?
Absolutely.
Yinzer real quick. He says Bill Belichick is overrated. He was nothing before Tom Brady. Let me tell you this. Yeah, Tom Brady was they found a diamond in the rough or whatever it might be. They got lucky. But I'm gonna tell you what, Bill Belichick's defense were all top 10 defenses. We don't give enough credit to those defenses. Trust me, I played against a few of those defenses. When you've got a top 10 defense and committed to a run game, and Tom Brady playing with a bunch of no names other than Randy Moss, pretty much, and maybe Wes Walker at some point. Don't just give it all to Tom. Tom was great. Obviously, he went to Tampa and won another Super Bowl. But Bill Belichick's defense gave them the opportunities, to go out there and win a lot of football games. If Tom Brady went down there and scored a touchdown, Bill Belichick's defense shut the team out the next series. Then teams go down and kick a field goal or score another touchdown. Next thing you know, that team's down 14-0 to 10-0 because of Bill Belichick's defense. Then that's when the Patriots roll. They roll people like that. That's how they played, and that's because of Bill Belichick and his defensive mindset. So don't just give it to Tom that got those Super Bowls for the Patriots. Bill Belichick's defense and defensive mindset. Look, Mike Vrabel is his head man now. Vrabel is part of that defense. Vrabel was a great coach at Tennessee. Now look, he took his team to the Super Bowl. Granted, it was an easier path than most people get to the Super Bowl the Patriots took, but he still is that type of coach, but he learned that from Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? So don't give it all to Tom, even though we love Tom. Well, I hate Tom because he played against me. But you know what I mean.
Don't forget.
I agree with you, OJ, because let's not forget that Bill Belichick and that defense orchestrated the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history versus the team that I call the fail cants.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't forget too that I'm going to go back to the dynasty the first time around with Belichick. That you could argue that was all defense. You had Brewski, Asante Samuel, Vince Wilfork, Richard Seymour. And don't forget too that Bill Belichick was onto something in Cleveland. He led the Browns to the playoffs, and it took until about 2020 for the Browns to go back to the playoffs. And he on that sideline, he had Kirk Ferentz, he had Nick Saban. Now think about that for a second. Nick, those three wandering around on the same sideline. I want everybody to just picture that for a minute. He was on, and his front office had a bunch of future GMs on it. So he was on to something in Cleveland too. And I think I'm not sure if he would have had the success that he had in New England in Cleveland, but his teams probably would have been at least consistent had Art Modell not been stupid enough to go up on stage and say, we're moving in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody get their 2 cents on this one. I want to continue to move on. I'll enjoy. To me, I was at the throat doctor today, OJ, and I told the throat doctor today, I said, you know what? I have a feeling that my voice is going to get the night off tonight because I'm bringing OJ McDuffie on, and I'm going to have a group that's going to be asking this guy questions, and all I get to do is be the captain of the ship and not screw it up.
Yeah, Scott.
You
So
know
you're
what?
saying we all talk too much, Scott? You're saying we all talk too much? Is that? It sounds like
No.
That's what it sounds
Hey,
like.
OJ,
Boston
I'm saying
Paul.
quite the contrary. You know what? No, OJ, you know me better than that. I'm enjoying this. Is it okay for the guy who also is the executive producer to enjoy this?
Yeah,
I'm asking
absolutely.
you, OJ.
Absolutely. I'm just
I think you guys are
yapper, though.
great.
I'm just a yapper, though. That's just me.
No, I think you guys are. Or Jimmy Walker. Anybody heard of Good Times?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
JJ.
Don
All right, so here.
Shula. I have a quick question though, OJ. Don Shula is one of those first ballot Hall of Fame coaches, right?
Yes.
And that was due to the undefeated season. The only thing that I hated about Don Shula, because he did the same thing to the backup QB of the Baltimore Colts that he did when he had him again with the Miami Dolphins, because Greasy was hurt, just like Unitas was hurt. Earl Morrell led them to the Super Bowl, and then he said, okay, you can sit down. We're going to let the starter play. I mean, he got lucky that it worked, because how often have we seen a starter be hurt, a backup lead a team somewhere, and the starter come back and fail?
Right.
You know,
it happens a lot. Yeah.
That happens a lot more than the two times that it worked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If Don Shula were alive, he'd tell you that, they still had a better chance of winning a football game with Greasy as their quarterback. Obviously, Greasy's in the Hall of Fame, and then for whatever reason, he's in the Hall of Fame. But also, you look at Don Shula, the thing that people don't understand, when I got to the Miami Dolphins were the winningest pro sports team in all of sports, not just football, all of sports, and that was because of Don Shula. The first few years when the Dolphins were originating in '66, they were putrid. They were terrible, Scott, right? How bad? They were the worst. And the Coach Wilson. Then all of a sudden, Don Shula comes in, and everything changed really, really fast. And it was very successful all the way through the mid '90s when he got fired by the team and they brought in Jimmy Johnson. So I get what you're saying. I know you're mad about that. I get it. But Earl definitely deserves his flowers for this football team. And down here, we definitely give Earl his flowers because of what he did.
Because the reason why he signed with Don Shula there in Miami to back up Greasy is Don Shula promised him, I promise that if the starter gets hurt, I won't do that to you again. And then he did it. I only know that because he's friends with my dad.
All right, so let me go back to what OJ said. Okay, hold on a minute, Eric. Hang on. I do get to say something once in a while. Okay, I know he's excited. I love his energy. But you know what, OJ? You're right. It's okay. Like I said, man, I'm loving this, man. Watching all you. No, I think you guys talk a lot, and it's great because show is not about me. It's the people around me, right? How many times, OJ, when you've been on a team that the quarterback can do his job, but he's got the right targets and they're running for touchdowns, and that's what it's all about. I'm the quarterback. I'm throwing to you guys, and you guys are scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, you got to surround yourself with great guys, and I think that a lot of these, like the wide receivers I talked about, the Mark Claytons, the Mark Dupers, were punished because Dan Marino was so great, But you look at every other quarterback that's in the Hall of Fame, they got a wide receiver or two with them in there, And
get this, OJ. I wrote a story on Mark Clayton and Mark Duper when I was covering them in the early '80s. And I worked with Coach Shula, and he taught me an awful lot. He's in my book that I'm going to give you when I finally catch up with you. You'll see a lot of Dolphin familiarity. All right, Eric, you got one last thing. Want to continue to move along with this Hall of Fame? Go ahead, Eric.
Well, I was going to say that Belichick also did it too. During their first on their way to their first Super Bowl ring against what was then the greatest show on turf, St. Louis Rams, he benched Tom Brady because Tom Brady was struggling and put in Drew Bledsoe. People forget that was pretty controversial at the time on who to start that year. And I will say, though, from what I've read about Don Shula turning around the Dolphins, the transformation from what they were to what they became was absolutely like brutal, borderline militaristic. And from what I've read about him, and keep in mind though, Shula, this is the same guy who threatened to pop Joe Robbie.
Eric, you're right. There's no love lost between OJ and I'll tell you, there was no love lost between Joe Robbie and Don Shula. Let's not face it. Joe Robbie wasn't afraid to go ahead and do a little of this, right, OJ? I mean, you know,
well, we all need a little nip every once in a while.
Exactly.
You know
That's
what I
my
mean?
point. Yeah. Well, since it's a family show, we're talking about the nip. I love the fact that it's just sitting here and soaking it all in. This guy does a great job. You know, he used to work with Dennis Maroka a lot anyhow.
Yeah.
So great stuff. But we're going to talk about Jimmy Johnson. Okay. And that says he says his private plane is parked. He's not going to be attending the Hall of Fame anymore. And he continues to say that Jimmy Johnson is holding back, calling out the Hall of Fame for snubbing Bill Belichick. He says, according to him, a handful of jealous voters are tarnishing the legacy of the entire Hall, quote unquote. He said, I think this tarnishes everything in the Hall of Fame just because of 10 to 12 ignorant, jealous a-holes who didn't vote for Bill Belichick. Okay, well, let's go rapid fire on this one, Jeremy. Rapid fire. What are your thoughts about what Jimmy Johnson had to say about the snub of, obviously, Bill Belichick?
He's a human being that lives in America, and he has the right to his opinion, whether right or wrong.
Okay. Ed?
I believe the coach. I'm surprised more coaches haven't done something similar or said something similar. You know, the coaching community, the brotherhood would have said something, whether they liked them or not. It's like your own brother. You know, I can pick on you, but nobody else can pick on you.
Eric?
Well, first off with Jimmy Johnson, tell me how you really feel. And
Well, he did.
And, yep. Well, I'm sure he didn't go all the way 100. I'm sure he didn't go all the way to 100 there. But you know, I think Jimmy's got a point. I mean, Jimmy's never been shy to offer his opinion about much of anything. And I think that Jimmy's doing the right thing there. You know, he's entitled to do what he wants, and winning three Super Bowls will allow you to do that.
Okay.
I'm not a Jimmy Johnson fan, so I probably should bite my tongue on saying anything about that clown. So I'll just leave it at that. You know, he's one of the worst coaches I ever played for. So you know, he might have won some Super Bowls, man, but he's a jerk.
Well, the word clown obviously says plenty. I was just waiting for you to say vocal in front of it. Okay. But all right, Candy.
I mean, we've talked about it that Bill Belichick, he coached for how many years? And you don't get to keep coaching if you're not having success. Again, maybe the voting should have been changed. He didn't get in. It's unfortunate. But do I understand Jimmy Johnson making those comments? Yeah. As a coach for to another coach, you're going to stick behind your people.
Well, let me say this real quick too, Candy. He's not hurting anybody by not going. You know what I mean? No, they don't. I mean, he's not hurting anybody by not going. All the other guys they're going to be there. Just one guy does not make the Hall of Fame, so he's not hurting anybody. He's hurting himself by not going. You know, that's bottom line.
Also, him and Belichick are friends, so let's keep that in mind too. I'm sure Jimmy wants to protect his relationship there too.
Great stuff all the way around. Okay, Mel, you got the last word on this, and we're going to transition over to Tom Brady.
I think Jimmy Johnson really spoke about how he felt. And you know, there was some question whether or not Jimmy Johnson deserved to or was ever going to get into the Hall of Fame, because he really didn't have that long of a career, and he had that short window of real good success with the Dallas Cowboys that ended up in 2 Super Bowls, if you want to count that one that Barry Switzer won when he left, you know, as the 3rd Super Bowl, you know, fine. But there's really a lot of question as to whether or not he deserved to be a Hall of Famer. And the thing about Jimmy probably standing up for Bill is he understands how, and I understand how you feel about him. I mean, I don't feel that way about him, but I respect how you feel about him, OJ. But he understands how difficult it is to win games in the NFL, and to the amount of time and the commitment that you have to win and to perform at a high level in the NFL. And for Belichick to do it for as long as he's done it, and then for them not to recognize that, you know, he feels that's a travesty. And it, like Jeremy said, you know, it's a free country. He's free to express his opinion. I tend to agree with what he's saying, that there were a lot of people who were jealous and just decided not to vote for him for whatever reason, whether it's because of how he dealt with the media, whatever the case may have been. But it had nothing to do with his football acumen and the results that he produced on the football field.
Well, Mel, you speak your mind, he speaks his mind, but do you boycott because of that? I mean,
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, it makes no. I feel you want to get your point across. He's got a big voice, but do you boycott? You know what I mean? He's got probably 5 or 6 Hall of Famers in there from the whole Dallas clan, and not only that, the UM clan. There's so many guys that he coached that'll be there that weekend. You're going to boycott because of Belichick when you got all the guys that you coach that are going to be there as well. It's kind of messed up.
Yeah, I don't agree with him boycotting it. But again, you got to understand, Jimmy's a little bit older now, and he may not want to be around that crowd anymore because he just.
He does. He does.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Jimmy wants to be seen, bro. Jimmy wants to be seen.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure it won't last long then.
Belichick will be in next year, so he'll be back, right? Belichick will be in next year. He'll be back.
Exactly. It'll be a short-lived boycott.
Does Jimmy Johnson or not have a yacht that he has a party with all of his former players when he goes out?
Come on, we'll be down at the Big Chill over the weekend, Jeremy. All right, we'll be down there over the weekend.
Right?
And by the way, OJ, Candy and I will be going down to Key West this weekend, and I'll be stopping over at Jimmy's place over at the Big Chill down in Key Largo.
Cool.
I love going down there. It's actually a pretty good place. All right, so let's go. You're right. What's that?
I was gonna say Jimmy will find ways to have people come to him. They always come down to his home in Key West to go fishing with them and come to his restaurants. Heck, even a while back, Fergie's dad came to his bar. So he's got no shortage of company.
Yeah, well, he invited some friends of mine that work for the team, to his wedding down at his house, and he had them working it instead. They thought they were coming to a wedding. They ended up working and doing the heavy lifting around there. So I kind of like him for that. Yeah.
OJ, you won't believe this. On his Wikipedia, there's a picture of you and him on his Wikipedia.
There is a witness. Wikipedia is false, man. It's fake news, man.
God is my witness. Johnson poses for a photo during the Dolphins 1999 training camp with player OJ McDuffie and the mayor of Miami-Dade County.
Can I delete that? Can you delete that for me, Mel?
You're there. You're there.
In your defense, you don't look that happy. Your head is down.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that, Jeremy. Yeah, but I was there for the mayor. I wasn't there for Jen. No, I'm just playing.
Right, I got you.
All right, let's transition over to Tom Brady. Was supportive of his former coach, as it was announced that Tom Brady said, "There's no coach I'd rather play for. If I'm picking one coach, I'm taking Bill Belichick." Well, Jeremy, rapid fire again. What are your thoughts about Tom Brady? What he says about the man who drafted him?
And not only the man who drafted him, because technically the guy that turns in the ticket is the GM, but the fact that he had him win 6 Super Bowls with him as his head coach. What else is he supposed to say? Right. Oh, I don't want to be with that bum. I mean, what is he going to say?
Right. No, all right, whatever. Okay, I get it. But by the same token, let's face it, Tom Brady has a voice, and it is pretty well heard, and it is an influential voice about what he is going to say, Jeremy. And that's my point in this situation. Isn't it? He drafted 199th overall. What was it? The 6th round, I think it was.
6th round, pick 199.
Right. Okay. So therefore,
and then the review of Mel Kiper, he has a noodle arm and will never start a game in the NFL.
Okay. But the bottom line is he's one of those guys that did not get drafted in the first round, came later. How did that work out? It worked out
great.
Well.
Fantastic.
Okay. Ed?
If a great chef goes to a new restaurant and opens a new restaurant that you're familiar with, and he invites you to come and work with him, you're going to go. So, I mean, it's a familiar thing. They were victorious. They won together. It would surprise me to Jeremy's point, it would surprise me if he said anything other than, yes, I'd play with Bill up until I'm whenever.
Eric, rapid fire.
He wasn't with Bruce Arians or Todd Bowles all that long. So who else is he going to pick? Besides, Belichick drafted him, and they won 6 Super Bowls together. It doesn't get much better than that.
Okay, go ahead. No rapid fire for you as long as you want, OJ.
Yeah, rapid fire for sure. But Belichick also let him go, though. Yeah, Belichick also let him go, right? Tom Brady was still trying to play, and he let him go to Tampa Bay instead of letting him retire and do his thing in New England. So either way, I mean, when you have done all this great stuff together, Tom Brady should have gone out on his own terms there, and that didn't happen. For some reason, they let him out of there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, that's true. Tom Brady could have won 7. I think it was a clash of egos there, wasn't it, OJ?
I think
Who's
so.
gonna
I
win
think it's
first?
all, you know, when
Yeah.
you talk about snubs and Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady, it was like, you know, who's the reason we're being so successful, and they all had a difference of opinion, obviously. You know,
you could also argue that was the beginning of the end of Belichick in New England was when that happened.
oh yeah, yeah, obviously, yeah. I mean, the results say that for sure.
Candy?
The 10-year together spanned from Brady's rookie year in 2000 through 2019, making the longest run by one player for one head coach in NFL history. 20 seasons, 6 Super Bowl championships, 9 AFC championship titles, and 17 AFC East division titles. What? How is he going to pick a different coach? Like,
Right.
you can't argue with all that.
Dominated the AFCs. They just dominated us.
It was like a
Yeah.
it was a birthright to go to the Super Bowl for Patriots fans. during that span.
Right.
As
Yeah,
crazy
you
as
know,
that
OJ, it's
is,
amazing. You were on the wrong end of that whole thing
Oh,
more times than
man.
you want to admit. I mean, not that you wouldn't want to admit, but it's hard to be on the wrong end of that too many times, isn't it, OJ?
Well, I think the Dolphins and Eric, you could do this research for me real quick if you can. I think the Dolphins beat the Patriots 20 straight games in the 70s. I think they were 20-0 against the Patriots in the 70s in their division. So, you know, they owed us that. They owed us some butt whooping since I think the 70s team used to beat up on them. I think it was the Patriots.
Even when they beat them in New England. Remember that for whatever reason, and even probably you can argue to this day, the Patriots always had a hard time with the Dolphins in Miami for some reason. Like
the Wildcat game, you know, you talk about the Miami Miracle. You know, there's a few games, but the Patriots, they're like, yeah, all right, they beat us, but we're going to go on and beat in the Super Bowl and win these Super Bowls. But yeah, we had some good times against them, even though we weren't doing anything special for ourselves. Great point, Eric.
I think in 06, even when Nick Saban during the year he was there, Belichick would probably attest to this, where he would think it was one thing, but Saban's defense would do another, and they had like 4 or 5 turnovers that Belichick had no answer for him. And because and I think Belichick has said this before. He was glad Nick Saban was out of the AFC East when he went to Alabama.
Yeah.
During that time that Tom Brady was there, his worst record away from home in any stadium was worse versus Miami than the rest of the teams in the AFC. And that's because you guys actually did have a great defense. But after Marino retired, you kind of didn't have a quarterback.
Jimmy Johnson's fault. Thank you.
I know.
Mel, it's your turn, Mel. We're done, Mel. I'm sorry, Scott. Your show. It's your show.
No, OJ, listen. OJ, let's not forget, my friend.
You really didn't like Jimmy.
Hey, you know what, OJ? I got an idea. One of these times, you know what you and I are going to do? You get a couple of your peeps here. It'll be Scott, OJ, because I'll make time because I own this network. Remember that, OJ. Just remember, you and I, and then you go out there and come up with a couple of your buddies, and we'll go out there and whatever you want. It'll be Scott, OJ, ... Okay? Deal? We have to work some things out in our contract when we get down to Fort Lauderdale about some of the things we're going to do after tonight's show. Right. You having a good time, OJ? You ready to keep this marathon going a little bit longer?
Yes, sir. Let's go a little longer.
Oh, let's go longer. I got plenty of topics I even got to. You have to, but keep it going now, because now OJ has technically become my co-host. Okay?
No, I don't.
Oh, come on, OJ. I'm kidding with you. You know, OJ, you know I love you because you're doing a great job with the segue. All right, Mel, go ahead. Because OJ told you to, and I am. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, the answer is really simple. I mean, what else would you expect them to say? I mean, they had a tremendous amount of success with one another. He really knows no other coaches. Like Eric talked about, he had Bruce Arians for a couple of years. He had Todd Bowles for 1 year. He did win a Super Bowl with Bruce Arians, but all of his career, most of his football career was spent with Bill Belichick. So what else would you expect him to say? He knew nothing else other than Bill Belichick and the Patriot way. He doesn't know. He couldn't say, "Well, I would love to have Mike Shanahan as my coach or Tony Dungy as my coach," because he wasn't in the trenches with them day in and day out, and he doesn't know who they are, how they operate, but he knows exactly how Bill Belichick operates and how the New England Patriots operated. So I wouldn't expect him to say anyone else.
Okay, great stuff. All right, let's talk about Bill Belichick now versus recent Hall of Fame inductees. Belichick goes in with a 640. Well, it hasn't gone in with 647 winning percentages, 31 playoff wins, 6 Super Bowls, 3 Coach of the Year awards. I'll compare a few of them here. You got Bill Cowher at 623, 12 playoff wins, 1 Super Bowl, 1 Coach of the Year. Jimmy Johnson, we talked about 556, 9 playoff wins, 2 Super Bowls, 1 Coach of the Year. Bill Parcells, 569, 11 playoff wins, 2 Super Bowls, 2 Coach of the Year. Okay, Jeremy, rapid fire. What are your thoughts when I give you this list? How we compare to these other people?
Well, the people that got into the Hall of Fame, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, the only one that I think that could have been pushed back to put Belichick in is Adam Vinatieri. Because you say what you want, he's a kicker. There's very few kickers in the Hall of Fame, and he probably didn't deserve first ballot, no matter how clutch he was.
Go back to your sideline with that comment, Jeremy.
All right, go ahead, Ed.
I say what you want, but I think kickers, there's great kickers around this league that don't get enough. And if you want to say that someone wasn't clutch when he was for a team that was struggling, Jason Hansen has more points, more extra points, and still has the NFL scoring record as a kicker. And he's not in.
Adam's in because of those Super Bowls, bro.
Right,
Super
that's
Bowl,
it.
playoffs. Yeah, man.
I understand.
He was money in
but
the
at
playoffs.
the same time, he could have been pushed back.
Yeah.
He could have got in any time, and Bill Belichick deserved it more.
Vinatieri is a special case.
Okay.
Bel-
Go ahead, Ed. Let's stay in order, Eric.
Belichick's body of work says he should be in. Period.
Okay. All right, Eric, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to say, Drew Brees was a no-brainer. I mean, given where he started to where he finished with a Super Bowl ring, that's a testament of itself. And Roger Craig should have been in a long time ago.
No, Eric, that's not where we're at. Eric, we're talking about the coaches.
Oh, I'd say, I thought they could have made some room for Belichick.
Yeah.
When I talk about Cowher, I talk about Parcells. That's what we're doing when we compare all the different ones. So stay on point, Eric, okay? Because I have to make sure everything's under control. All right, understood? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I'm gonna say too, Cowher. I'm gonna say too, compared to Belichick, Cowher was probably a choker in the playoffs prior to 2005.
Okay. See, I have to be this way once in a while.
Yeah.
In an effort.
That's on me too. I think I took it off track.
No, it's really not. The bottom line is, Juice, it really is not. I just have to make sure. No, it has nothing to do with you at all. So I hope you don't get the wrong idea. I just want to make sure that what we're able to try to do is when I talk about coaches and how I transition from certain things. That's the thing you learn in journalism, mass communications, all that stuff. And if you don't, you go ahead and fail. And I don't like to fail because I'm bad at it.
Yep, my bad, Scott.
That's okay. That's what he's learning. He's got his own show. Don't worry. If you're interested in Eric, all you have to do is watch him on Saturday. And this guy does a whale of a job on talking baseball. Okay, so as I was saying, OJ, about the 3 guys, you got Parcells, you got Cowher, you have Belichick, and whoever else I just mentioned. But
Johnson, he's better than all those guys. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. I mean, the numbers, like everybody said, numbers don't lie. Results don't lie. Not only is he, winning AFC East 17 times, but he's winning, the AFC, I don't know, 10 times probably. What 6-2 in Super Bowls with him? So they won the AFC East 8 times, and then he won 6 Super Bowls. I mean, numbers don't lie. What he's done, it's a travesty that he's not in. I kind of get it, but at the same time, though, if all those coaches were to be a first ballot guys, it's Bill Belichick, and some of those other guys, they got in somehow, some way, but they're in. That's all that matters. They're in, and they're not coming out for any reason. So,
okay, Candy.
Belichick will be in. It's just a matter of time, and it's unfortunate that he didn't get in first time because he is better than a lot of those other coaches that you listed, Scott.
Go ahead, Mel. Mel.
I think it's
Mel.
We lost Mel.
Yeah.
And, we talked about it
Okay.
Bill Belichick deserved to have that title. And unfortunate that he's not going in the Hall of Fame as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Okay. All right. Now we'll talk about the Hall of Fame inductees now. And that's it. So we talked about Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Drew Brees, Roger Craig, and Adam Vinatieri. Let's go to the particulars. Luke Kuechly retired from the NFL at age 28 after dealing with multiple concussions. Now he's the second youngest player. That's unbelievable, isn't it? He's the second youngest player ever to be elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Luke Kuechly retired from the NFL I talked about that. So we talked about Luke Kuechly. So let's just talk about this class in general, and we'll just break it down that way. Okay. And that's this. Jeremy, lead it off. Let's just talk about all these guys, Jeremy, to get the Hall of Fame class. It's great stuff. I can see it. And that's this. Let's just evaluate, Jeremy, okay, all of these players per se, now that I know who they are with the thumbnail. Thank you.
Yeah. Luke Kuechly is probably one of the most instinctive off-ball linebackers that was around. He didn't have the prototypical size that some linebackers did, but he made up with it with his gameplay. Even though he played for the Panthers, no Super Bowls, by the way.
Right.
He made it into the Hall of Fame. Then you got Drew Brees, who has his one Super Bowl, but held some records that Tom Brady had to stay 3 years past the Patriots to beat. And then there was Larry Fitzgerald, one of the best wide receivers to play the game. Roger Craig, who's like everybody said, probably should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer because he was the first 1,000 running back, 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving with the Montana era. And then you got Adam Vinatieri. Yes, a very clutch kicker. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And I like to reference Jason Hansen.
I think it's a very strong class. Each of them have their, deserve to be in. To everybody's point earlier, Roger Craig should have been in way before now. And even to Jeremy's slight demise, disgust maybe or what have you, Adam Vinatieri's even in, because I think, as we've said in previous episodes, I think we're going to start seeing more kickers get in because they're going to become more valuable, scoring more points.
Okay, we got OJ for one more segment. So let's see. After this one, you got one more. Could you talk? I just want to talk to you about SEC mandated gambling. Is that okay, OJ? I know you have to get going after that. That's our main topic. Okay, I just want to get that one, and then we'll go the rest of the way. Okay. Who's next? You want to evaluate the Eric? Eric, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, Drew Brees. I mean, he not only what came a long way. He also transcended a devastated New Orleans region that had been destroyed by Hurricane Katrina and brought the Saints to the promised land. Adam Vinatieri, no one always money, no one more clutch. Roger Craig, he was Marshall Faulk and Christian McCaffrey before those guys. Should have been in a lot earlier. Luke Kuechly, you can argue probably the best linebacker of off the ball, to Jeremy's point, of our time. I mean, he wasn't the biggest though, but man, he was a thumper. But overall good class though. Just wish Belichick. And I want to also say though, I think Torrey Holt should have been a part of that class too. He has been missing for a while and was a big part of that greatest show on turf. And he deserves to be in. I don't know what the writers are thinking because Torrey Holt was very friendly with the media, but Torrey Holt is missing and this needs to be rectified.
Okay, go ahead. Juice.
Yeah. Obviously Drew Brees is the easy one. That's a layup right there. Still a little tough on us down here in Miami because we made the Drew Brees decision versus Dante Culpepper, and we went with Pep. And I get it. Then Pep had a knee, Drew had a shoulder, and Drew already had an average arm. But look what we missed out on down here in Miami. So that's always going to be a sore subject. Larry Fitzgerald, probably one of the best wide receivers ever played the game. Definitely I got what he deserved, a first ballot Hall of Fame. Luke Kuechly being in the second year of eligibility, getting in, that's a stretch for me. It's a huge stretch for me. With no results, otherwise, all pro, I got a few times, whatever it might be. But second year of eligibility, that don't sound like a qualifier for me to be, in the Hall of Fame that soon. Getting in eventually, yeah. Second year of eligibility, no. That means he was that close to being a first ballot guy, which he definitely was not. You know, and we're talking about Bill Belichick being the first ballot guy with a lot of, not going to be a first ballot guy with all the results that he's had. So Luke Kuechly's a stretch for me. Adam's great, obviously, and Roger Craig, man, play with him on. You talk about me before the show started on Tecmo Bowl. Play with Roger Craig on Tecmo Bowl and see how
Roger Craig, Bo Jackson, Barry Sanders. That's all you needed.
And Dennis Gentry returning kicks for the Bears. You name it. Those were tough dudes to deal with, man. And like you talked about, Roger Craig being able to run the ball and catch the ball was spectacular. I mean, that offense, that West Coast offense was unbelievable, and he's the one of the guys that made that thing run.
Well, yeah, because go ahead.
Go ahead, Candy, Mel, and then we have one more topic for Juice, and then you can promote your podcast for like 30 seconds if you want to. Okay, Juice?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Breeze retired as the NFL's all-time leader in completion percentage and second in both passing. Definite needed to be in. Fitzgerald. And Drew played 20 years. Fitzgerald, 17 years. Second in NFL history in yards and receptions. Kuechly, he was a 5-time all-team pro, first team all-pro, recorded 1,092 combined tackles, 18 interceptions. Adam Vinatieri, the NFL's all-time leading scorer with 2,673 points, spent 24 seasons. He deserves to be in. And Roger Craig, first player in NFL history to record a 1,000-yard and rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in the same season. Definitely deserves to be in.
Okay, Mel.
Yeah, I mean, I could care less about the rest of it, man. We're just giving the running back some love. Finally, that Roger Craig's getting into the Hall of Fame. And there hasn't been a running back selected to the Hall of Fame since 2020, since Edgerrin James went in. So just showing the RB some love. They're trying to devalue us. I think they're trying to get the running backs out of the game and try to come up with something else. But, I'm just showing the running back some love. I kind of agree with OJ's take on Luke Kuechly. I mean, I watched his entire career. He's a very, very, very good player. Is he a Hall of Fame player? Second ballot Hall of Fame player? Not so sure.
Okay, OJ, I have one quick question myself for you, and then we'll go to the final topic in your podcast. What are your thoughts about the Detroit Lions hiring former Dolphins GM Chris Greer, who spent nearly a decade with the Dolphins as their GM?
They hired him as their GM or a part of the
assistant GM.
Assistant GM. Okay, that's right.
Yeah. I'm about to say, well, you know what, man? He spent a couple decades here. He tried his best for us. We spent a lot of money where we probably shouldn't have. We had some draft picks that probably weren't very good draft picks. He's got a wealth of knowledge, and he's also got a good network of people in the league. So I wish Chris the best. He's a friend of mine. I thought it was time for him to move on, and I think obviously that the organization felt the same way. And, Dan Campbell worked down here under Chris. Well, Chris was the GM here when Dan Campbell was one of our coaches, interim head coach at one point. So they have the respect for each other, and I think that's a good relationship for them. So good for Chris, and it was good for the Dolphins that we were able to move on and get John Eric Sullivan from Green Bay and Jeff Hafley, obviously from Green Bay as well. So
yeah, I know you got to go to dinner, but there's one thing. Did you know Ted Ginn Jr. very much?
I didn't know him very well. I remember we drafted him seventh overall. I know he's an Ohio guy, but, went to Glenville, went to Ohio State, obviously, and he won some games for us as a return guy. So yeah, I'm a Ted Ginn fan. I know he went through some things as the head coach in the UFL, but I think he's he'll be all right.
You think he'll be a good head coach? You do think he will?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about his coaching skills. I know what an athlete he was. A hell of an athlete. I mean, he dominated Ohio high school sports. So
yeah, and when you come back on the next time, what we'll do is we'll talk about the Teddy Bridgewater Act. I'll wait on that for the next time. I'll get to that and a few other Miami topics. But yeah, I know Ted Ginn obviously had a tough year first go around. Last topic of the night that we could promote your podcast. This is something that's really important. It's been a hot topic. Gambling classes here. The SEC is making gambling education mandatory. Now, it makes sense, but it also feels a little ironic. College football is being surrounded by all kinds of betting money, betting ads, betting talk, and over the weekend. But every SEC, and get this is really interesting. That's why I titled the show OJ the way I did. Every SEC athlete has to watch the conference. Is adding a mandatory gambling education video before the 26-27 season. Okay, it continues on. Sports betting is everywhere now, and the SEC said recent gambling incidents plus recent markets made this a high priority move. The SEC already uses monitoring tools, availability, reports, locker room, education, and even a gambling chip as well. This is another layer on top. So who's really to blame? Okay, with that said, okay, I'll let you go ahead and answer it, promote your podcast, and I'll go ahead and let everybody else talk about the other topics when you go to dinner. Is that fair enough?
That's fair. Yeah. You know, and I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Sorry I have to go.
Oh, no big deal. I'm just glad you've been on this long. You've been great. I can't thank you enough. But what are your thoughts about the SEC's doing?
Well, you know what, man, the gambling issue, you know, it's been an issue in sports for some, you know, but honestly, you know, every sports business, every sport is in bed with gambling now. Everybody's in bed with it,
right?
You know, they're taking the money from gambling, and now all of a sudden it's cool. Look at Vegas being able to get, you know, a hockey team, a football team. They got a baseball team coming. I guarantee a basketball team is going to be coming there too. Yep. You know, because now they're so cool with gambling. You know, the first placard, and you know this, the first placard you see in locker rooms is the big old placard saying no gambling, no this, no that. But gambling is the biggest one, especially when you're talking about teams. Now, the reason these college kids now, I mean, pro teams get gambled all the time. Maybe not on the sport, but they gambled all the time, whether it be cards or dice or whatever it might be. There's a lot of gambling that goes on planes, you know, in hotels before games. There's a lot of big money being gambled, you know, with athletes because they have a lot of money. Now these college kids have so much money. They're going to be in the game now. This NIL stuff is giving these kids money they can play. We made $12.50 a weekend. I wasn't gambling that away. That was McDonald's money for me when I was at Penn State. You know what I mean? So, you know, the fact that they make so much money, you know, they've got this extra cash. They're able to do some of these things because gambling is so prevalent in these apps. You know, these opportunities are so big. You know, I feel bad for these kids growing up at this time, but at the same time, I felt like I was born too soon because, you know, I don't know how much money I'd have came in the NFL and probably took a pay cut from the money I could have made at Penn State. You know, we had some guys that were making $3-4 million a year at Penn State. You know, and that was crazy to me, considering I was making that $12.50 a year. But the fact that they're having these guys do these mandatory whatevers, you know, it's just fluff. It's just fluff. They're going to go through the motions, go through these mandatory things. You know, there's always going to be some gambling. If they don't do it themselves, they might pass it down 2 or 3 people to get it done. If they're gamblers, I wasn't a gambler, so I like I said, I covered every penny. So I'm not going to take a chance on somebody else, you know, winning money for me. If I can't control the outcome of it. But he honestly, when what Sorsby was doing, he had some control over it when you're betting on your own team. So I just think that because of that, these guys, you know, the money they have, the atmosphere of gambling all over the place, every single thing, FanDuel, DraftKings, you know, Hard Rock Bet, everything is all over the place. And these guys are making so much money, you know, given these, you know, for these organizations. I mean, and these entities, these NBAs and NFLs and MLBs, yeah, it's tough for the kids not to see that every single time they're out there, you know, watching TV and being a part of it.
Okay, this is a combined question for you really quickly, okay? Number one, tell me what it was like to play for Joe Paterno. And the second part of the question is, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your podcast? I believe it is
the Fish Tank 81
podcast. So start with Joe Pa, and then you can promote that. And I appreciate you hanging in there for these last 2 things.
Yeah, no worries, man. I appreciate you asking the question, man. You know, I know, you know, everything that everybody, you know, feels about Joe Paterno, the way it all happened at the end, man. But I know this for a fact that Joe Paterno was an outstanding man that taught us all the right way of doing things. A lot of things that Joe took for us, did for us was more like how to be, you know, the man you want to be after sports. He knew a lot of guys on our team weren't going to play football. They were going to be businessmen. You asked Joe who his best team was, and he said a team I forget the year every year, but it's like 1978 team. You look at that team, they were like 7-5. Right. And why is that your best team? He said, well, 7 are doctors, 5 are lawyers, 6 own their own business. You know, and that's what it was all about. We had to be at breakfast every single morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, because that's what life's about, he said. Right. You got to get up and go to work every single day, whether you have to class at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever. Get up, be at breakfast every single day at 8 o'clock in the morning. You miss class, he had guys follow you for 2 or 3 weeks to make sure you're going to class. Every single day you had to be going to class, or he'd have somebody follow you. So I just know that, you know, everything that went down, you know, it tarnishes his legacy. Right. It'll never tarnish my opinion of Joe Paterno, because I know what kind of man he was when I was there, and I know what kind of man he was from the day I walked into his house, the day they fired him at Penn State.
Yeah, he's a father figure to you, just like Howard Schnellenberger is to me. And we'll get you out of here on this note. Why don't you let everybody know more about the Fish Tank podcast? You probably got like 5 or 6 people that are going to be following you by the end of the show.
I hope so, man. I appreciate the love, man.
You got Jeremy,
really
you got
do.
Ed, you got Eric Katz, who certainly knows you pretty well. And I think you know him pretty well. He'll stand out for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I will follow back. I promise you guys that, man. And I just appreciate it, man. Seth Levin and I started doing a podcast back in 2018, right before the pandemic, and we just watch it just grow and blossom, man. It's called the Fish Tank. Dolphin Tales from the Deep. We're on every single platform at the Fish Tank 81, and we just had Teron Armstead last week. We just dropped his episode. We do a live show on Wednesday nights at 9:00, along with Dolphin Talk. We're just trying to stay active in the community. We were working with the Dolphins for a couple of years. We decided to branch off from the Dolphins because we wanted to be a little more flexible in what we wanted to do. They were kind of structured and strict on what we were allowed to do. So we decided we wanted to do our own damn thing. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but it's worked out great for us, man. And so, like I said, I appreciate it.
Excellent.
Everybody that's listening, the comments, the questions, man. It's been a fun time. But I'm trying to make sure I please my missus, man, before and get my butt to dinner before it gets too late.
I know. I'm so sorry if we went overtime.
No, this has been great. The time flew by, man. I just look at the clock and I got that look. You know what I mean?
OJ, let me ask you a real question. I'll text you the next day or two, and why don't we see if we could bring you on in the not so distant future? Would you like to come back?
I would love to come back home, man. This has been great. And everybody's amazing, man, and so knowledgeable, man, and so much fun. And next time I want, let Mel go first every once in a while, though, man. we take up all the ideas, and then Mel just has collect the scraps at the end. All right.
That's how it is. When you're
OJ, I got news for you. I will let Mel come first. You and I are going to dinner anyways with Andy. What I'll do is today's what, Tuesday? Why don't I text you on Friday to see when you want to come back, whether it's next week or the week after, and some of the topics that I'm holding over, we'll go into more details. I'll incorporate more Miami stuff to it.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good, y'all. Thank you guys for having me.
I
really appreciate
it. OJ, I love you, and I'll text you the next couple of days. All right, buddy?
All right, you got it, bro. Thanks, Scott.
All right. Have a good dinner, man.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks.
I just subbed to you, buddy, on YouTube, so shoot one back. KCB Sports Network.
I'm following you on Twitter.
There we go. Thank you, guys. And I'll make sure I follow back, man. All right. Shoot me a message. Shoot me a message so I know exactly, because things get kind of lost in timelines. All right. If you guys shoot me a message, all right.
So what I'll do is I'll call you in a couple of days. All right, OJ.
All right. Sounds good. All right.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Have a good night. Thanks. Bye. All right. So let's continue on here. We'll go ahead with our superstar OJ here. We're glad to have OJ McDuffie on for most of the show. Well, let's get to some of these topics while we have the opportunity. Rapid fire, Jeremy. Okay. We'll talk about, obviously, Ted Ginn Jr. was arrested in Columbus, Ohio. The former NFL wide receiver was arrested for DUI as his team, obviously, before the Dallas Renegades. We talked about Todd Haley. But do you really think, Jeremy, in your mind, that he's going to be a pretty good coach?
He could be, but he has to get his life right. That's all I got to say about it. If you're getting DUIs, that means you're making bad decisions. And if you're making bad decisions, you may not be a good head coach.
And
we've said it before, not all players make good coaches. I still think it's too early to determine whether he will be or not. To Jeremy's point, he made a bad decision. We all make bad decisions. If he can make it right and kind of fix whatever's going on with him, I think he's just because of a little bump in the road doesn't mean you're going off the edge.
Eric,
I think he's got to get his life in order first. But given what he went throughout his career, I think he could be. Obviously, it's going to be the wins and losses are going to tell the story there. But given what he went through his career, I don't see why he couldn't.
Okay, Mel.
His dad was a coach. Coach is in his blood. Give the kid an opportunity. He hadn't coached before that I'm aware of at any level, and so this is like his first coaching gig. Can he be a good coach? I think the jury's still out on that. I mean, people make mistakes. He's not the first coach to get a DUI, so let's not act like he's the first one to ever do that. He's not the first one to have that happen to him. So he made a mistake. He'll learn from it, and then we'll see whether or not he can be a viable coach.
Eric?
I already went.
Okay, Candy?
Yeah, it remains to be seen. We've said before, though, that some guys just are better in other positions than actually head coaches. But, everybody deserves a second chance. There have been so many coaches that have had, and players and other people that have had DUIs. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, let's continue on. All right, we talked about this. Obviously, OJ, Jeremy, will lead off with you. Obviously, Chris Greer of the Detroit Lions. You like the move?
Yes, I do. And number one, it was Chris Greer's suggestion with Miami to make Dan Campbell the interim head coach. So therefore, who knows if it was Dan Campbell that made the suggestion for Brad Holmes to hire him to replace the guy that left.
Okay, Ed?
When you're working with somebody that you're already familiar with, there's a synergy that exists. So that's always a good thing. So it'll be fun to watch it play out.
Okay, Mel?
I mean, yeah, I think it's great for him. I mean, and I think it's great, because look here, African Americans don't normally get second opportunities, so he's going to get an opportunity to be second command in Detroit. Brad Holmes obviously has a lot of respect for him. There is that previous relationship that he has with Dan Campbell. I'm glad that he has an opportunity to land on his feet, and maybe he'll get another opportunity to run another franchise. I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for Detroit because you can never have enough smart guys in the room, depending on how you feel about how you feel about him. But I think he's probably an intelligent guy, a good football guy, worked his way up. I know being black, nothing was given to him, so I know he had to work his way up to that position that he got. So I'm happy for him, and I'm happy that he landed with the Lions.
Yeah, I'll agree. Anytime you get a great football mind, you might as well go out there and at him. I think the Lions did right there. All right, Eric.
I think it's a good fit for him. He already has that previous relationship with Dan Campbell, and I think Dolphin fans are wondering what could have been had they kept Dan Campbell in charge instead of not making him the interim coach. But they already have a strong front office in Detroit, and I think adding somebody that Dan Campbell's familiar with and has worked with before, I think it's going to bode for good things to happen. I mean, I think Chris Greer is getting out of Miami at the right time because it's really a job that no one's really been consistently successful at since Don Shula retired.
Candy?
Greer got his scouting start with the New England Patriots in 1994, working alongside his father, Bobby. Someone that's been in the league for that long can only help an organization. So kudos to Detroit for getting him. It never hurts to have somebody that's been in that league that long, has a lot of contacts, has been doing the scouting for that long. Maybe he didn't have all the success, but doesn't mean he can't have success in Detroit.
All right, let's continue on. Let's talk about the missing rivalry games in the 2026 season. All right, let's go ahead and also talk about the topics as well. We got JB. All right, so great. Get them up there. Missing rivalry games in 2026 consist of, you're going to have actually an in-state rivalry. Oregon State against Oregon. We got one of them. Oh, actually, another one, Oklahoma against Oklahoma State. So actually, in-state rivalries be gone. You got USC Notre Dame, which has been talked about a lot. West Virginia against Pitt, the backyard brawl, I believe, is going to be gone. Florida against Tennessee, my goodness, not going to have that one either. But you can understand that's probably why the SEC is so big. Then you've got SMU against TCU, a big rivalry in Texas. Notre Dame against Michigan, that's a big one. Florida against LSU, size of the conference there. And the one I'm obviously interested in is University of South Florida against Central Florida. Okay, Jeremy, just give me one or two of these that you think that everybody's going to miss the most. One or two.
I think USC and Notre Dame is one of the bigger ones. But I heard that the Notre Dame and Michigan one, they just signed a contract where every 3 years they'll play each other again, but it's not.
Yeah, but we're talking 2026. I'm only concentrating on the present tense. I understand that, but I just want to keep 2026.
Yeah. Well, we haven't played them in 3 years, so I guess it doesn't matter for Notre Dame.
Right. Okay, that's what I mean. Again, I'm not trying to be difficult. I just want to stay on point with 2026. At least I don't think my Alzheimer's has gotten me too bad. But correct me if I'm wrong. Is this 2026? Okay, I think so. Getting with you all, Rick.
Yeah,
okay,
but I'm just saying this year we signed the contract is what I was saying about Michigan versus Notre Dame.
Yeah, I understand
so that.
You're
is
bringing
current.
President. Yeah, that's all I'm trying to do. Yeah, if they sign the contract, Michigan and Notre Dame, it's a game you have to have. I don't care what anything is. And I'll even take it a step further, even though it's not a topic. Okay, in a perfect society, and this is anything but a perfect society, Notre Dame should be in the Big Ten, period. Not the ACC, period. Okay, what was the other one? You got Michigan. So give me your two again, Jeremy.
USC versus Notre Dame and Michigan versus Notre Dame. Those are the two biggest ones to me.
I'm going to go with the USC Notre Dame because that's just a tradition that everybody's used to seeing, and was always a fun game to watch. Plus, the in-state rivalry games, like the Oregon State game, because I think that those and what was it, the TCU? But there was a couple other ones in there, but I think those really it brings there's a true rivalry in those in-state games that occurs that I think is unmatched to other games, and it's going to be sad to not see them happening.
No.
It's probably going to be the USC and Notre Dame game is the one that stands out to me the most.
And you got one more.
No, Michigan and Notre Dame haven't played for a while. Growing up, I used to watch that game. That was a big game for me to watch, obviously being from Michigan and not particularly caring for Notre Dame. So I guess those would be my two.
Okay. I like the comment, Danny Fuller's SEC not so big lately, Scott. So stay on point is exactly right. Anytime you have, and that's a good point too, Danny, because the thing is the SEC games that are not playing this year aren't a big deal because of the rotating schedule. And so Danny's 100% right. He really, really is. It's just one of those things where the conference is so big that, okay, they're not on this year. I get it. So Danny, you get an A+ with that comment. Okay, go ahead, Eric.
I got to go with USC and Notre Dame. I personally think Lincoln Riley chickened out of it because he knows his job's in danger. Right. And then I have to say I'm going to go with the Civil War, Oregon State. That's a big in-state rivalry on the West Coast. I mean, I'm not going to say Notre Dame, Michigan, just because they're going to play again here soon. But no, and I'm particularly peeved about Notre Dame, USC because Lincoln Riley knows his job's in danger, so he chickened out of the big-time competition. That's just who he is.
Okay, Candy?
Yeah, I'm going to say USC Notre Dame as one. And Scott, I don't know that you put this one in, but Miami, Florida.
But that's not in the list. But yeah, you can put that on if you want. I have no problem.
But that's an in-state rivalry that I would put in there.
Yeah, but the amazing part about it is they're going to be playing each other later this year in basketball, but that's beside the point. But they won't be playing in there. So I'm only going by the ones that I have in front of me, but that's worthy of honorable mention. I'll tell you the two I'm going to talk about. Oklahoma against Oklahoma State. I think you always have to have the in-state rivalries, and Eric's on point, okay, with Oregon State against Oregon. I think those are the ones that I think of this group need to be because they're in-state rivals. Let's continue on, okay, because this is really, really good. And that's this. The quarterbacks to win the Heisman Trophy and the national title in the same season since '98 include Fernando Mendoza, Joe Burrow. Fernando Mendoza, obviously, recently. Joe Burrow in 2019. It looks like Jameis Winston 13, Cam Newton 2010, and Matt Leinart. Okay, Jeremy, let's go ahead now that we see the particulars. Give me your thoughts about this group.
Out of that group, you have to say the most successful one was Joe Burrow because he actually got to a Super Bowl even though he lost. But other than that, Matt Leinart, what did he do in the NFL? There wasn't a whole heck of a lot. Cam Newton probably made it to a Super Bowl as well. I just think Joe Burrow has had a longer, more successful career. If he didn't have injuries, he probably would have made it back to another one by now.
Great. Okay, go ahead.
It shows that just because you win the Heisman and you win a championship doesn't mean it's going to translate into NFL victories or getting to the Super Bowl right away. And I think the jury's still out on what's going to happen to Fernando. To see, NFL is a different game. It's a faster game.
Mel?
Well, what Eric was saying was, yeah, I mean, it is true. Just because you win the Heisman doesn't mean that you're going to be successful in the NFL. But a lot of times, because you are that guy, you're that dude, you're going to go to a very poor team, and those, a lot of times, the overall number one draft pick, and which in most cases those guys they went to a team in which they had to carry the franchise. But I mean, Cam stands out. I mean, Cam was, he wasn't only. Not only did he win the Heisman and he won the national championship, but he was also an MVP as well in the NFL. If he would have really taken time to really learn the position of quarterback, he could still be playing now. I mean, he has a tremendous amount of athletic ability, and he relied on a lot of his athletic ability during his career. As he got older, he really didn't. Wasn't a student of the game like Tom Brady. But he had all the physical tools to be the best to ever play the position because of his athletic ability, his arm, his size. I mean, he's everything that you look for in a quarterback.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
I mean, if you're talking consistency, you're going to have to go with Joe Burrow. I mean, yeah, Cam did good for a pocket of time though. Although his biggest problem was he tried to, he got himself hurt with his athleticism, and also he tried to win with talent alone, and that's not going to work in the NFL. But Fernando Mendoza, who knows? But he has a rocky road ahead with a rebuilding Raiders team, and obviously Matt Leinart, not a whole lot to show for it, despite a very strong career at USC. Although I will say though, he did the right thing by going back for his senior year.
Candy.
Like Ed was saying, when you do have such success in college and then you try and transition to NFL, if you're drafted as high because you're a Heisman Trophy, means you're going to go to a bad team. It means you're not going to one of the elite teams. Mm-hmm. And so the team then has to build around you because they don't necessarily have all the pieces for you to have success right away. And sometimes the team never gets there. There are some teams that just never get there. But Joe Burrow is the one that sticks out for me out of all of those.
And you know what? I'll back down that one, Candy. Joe Burrow does stand out for me. Fernando Mendoza, I agree with you. Time will tell what happens there. Kirk Cousins is the starter, and obviously he'll have a chance to learn from Kirk. We'll see how long it takes before Mendoza finally gets on the field, but I'm with you, Candy, all the way. Joe Burrow. One more topic. We're going to have room for Jeremy's segment as well. I will make room for it tonight for sure, and then everything else we'll do. I think we pretty much have everything, and the only thing I'm going to carry over when OJ comes back will be the Teddy Bridgewater Act. No big deal, and I'm going to incorporate a lot of Miami topics as well. I just want to get to as many of the things as we possibly could, and I want to hear more about his podcast. Okay, with that said, I have one more topic I do want to get to. This D2 program is building a $40 million stadium. Since launching in 2016, the West Florida Argonauts have consistently been a national contender, highlighted by their 2019 Division II national championship and multiple deep playoff runs that put Pensacola on the college football map. Let's go with the particulars. That sustained success is driving a major investment, a new $40 million multi-purpose stadium expected to generate roughly $23.3 million in economic output over its 5 years. Capacity will grow to around 7,500 with premium seating, suite, club areas, and upgraded amenities, giving UWF a true long-term positioning and the program for future expansion. And the stadium is planned to open up in 2017, which could be the turning point for West Florida. So, again, it's been one of the most dominant programs in Division II, winning the 2019 national championship. And we talked about the new multi-purpose stadium projected to generate $23.3 million. If you've ever been to Pensacola, that's a lot of money for that area and economic output. The capacity will expand from 3,800 to 7,500 with premium seating, club areas, suites, and modern game amenities. The stadium is scheduled to open fall 2027, a major step toward the program's sustaining growth. And there you go. Jeremy, what are your thoughts about major college football on the west side of the state of Florida and the Panhandle?
Oh, they are a very good team, doing very well over the past, 17 years, you said? And
Right.
plus now they're a national champion. So of course they have a little bit more money because even in Division II, there's bonus money to those conferences that get split between the teams, just like in Division I. So they're using it wisely as far as I'm concerned. If you expand your seating while your iron is hot, you'll get more fans in the seats.
Okay, Ed.
Yeah, I think it's great. They're keeping their foot on the pedal, building the big stadium while they're, as Jeremy said, while the irons are hot. I also like the fact that it's bringing economic stimulus into an area. In today's climate, that's always a good thing. Maybe there'll be more jobs if there's more seats, there's more people working stadium and so on. Maybe college kids are getting some extra work. So I think it has a good a good feel all around, and it means the team is growing. But at the same time too, they've now set the bar super high for themselves, and the expectations are that they're going to continue to put a winner on the field. So,
Mel.
Yeah, I mean you have to strike while the iron is hot, and obviously they're extremely hot right now. This is a great time for them. Yeah, I haven't followed much of their football program, but obviously it's an exciting time for the university. It's an exciting time for the people that follow that university, and it should be great for all those involved. It's going to bring some jobs there temporarily in building the stadium. So I mean it's great for the university.
Eric.
I mean, this is the time where you capitalize on your winning, because winning equals money. And these days in sports, it's all about the in-stadium experience. No longer is it about just the team on the field. And West Florida knows this. They're almost had 2 decades of dominance, and so they're taking advantage of it and are bringing in They're trying to bring in significantly more revenue to their school to make all their programs even better and potentially draw even more tuition dollars, because that's what colleges need to do nowadays, because right now the percentage of kids going to school these days is dropping.
Candy.
This groundbreaking marks a transformative era for the Argonauts athletics, providing our student athletes with a championship caliber home that matches their dedication on the field and builds champions for life, said UFW Athletics Director Dave Scott. By bringing football and major events to the heart of our campus, we are creating an unmatched game day environment that will strengthen the bond between our university and the entire Pensacola community for generations to come. The stadium is funded through a combination of institutional investment and donor support, including a lead gift in excess of $9 million that secured the facility's name. The project also received a $2 million grant from Escanaba County's Tourist Development Council through the Tourist Development Tax, recognizing the stadium's impact on tourism and economic activity as well.
Very good. Yeah, I'm just happy that Western Florida has a major team, and who knows what this team will do in the next 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, because Florida's a big state for sure. From our neck of the woods to Pensacola, it's like about a 12-hour drive for sure. So with that said, all right, Jeremy, go out there. You have your segment to close out the show, and then we'll let everybody know how they can get each other. We want to thank our special guest, OJ McDuffie, being on the program tonight. So I know OJ is probably out there listening, and hopefully everybody will subscribe to his podcast. And then we'll give it to Jeremy, and then we'll go to a station break, and then everybody can talk about what they're doing.
So today, the Lions actually picked up 2 players from the UFL championship team, the Louisville Kings, wide receiver and punt returner Lucky Jackson, and wide receiver speedster that graduated from Michigan, Tariq Black. And I think this is to add depth because of the way Petzing runs his offense with the play action he uses. He runs a mesh style of offense, and this is going to free up Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams for more slant routes, while the other guys, the inside receivers, take the go routes.
Very good. All right, with that said, we'll go to station break with Candy, then we'll go around the horn.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the industry and how The industry has evolved. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. The audiobook is also out there. There's a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where a couple of our panelists do write for us. So go check out their columns, Eric and Smoking Jeremy B. Go check out their columns, as well as Scott writes for us as well. And I take some pictures. I dabble here and there. But if you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to be a guest, or if you have topic ideas, or you want to sponsor a show, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. Please do so and turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live. Next but not least, I want to introduce again our travel channel. I did change the logo this weekend. It's Destination Discoveries Media Network. That's a copy of the logo. And now in the top left would be the QR code for that YouTube channel. So anybody that would like to subscribe to it, please do so. We're going to be adding videos this weekend. We are heading down to Key West. So we'll take some videos on our travels, both on the way and then when we get down there. So hit that channel up, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you're notified when we go live and when we upload new videos. Back to you, Scott.
All right, Eric, please let everybody know how they can hold you. By the way, Eric Katz will be on tomorrow night, Motor City Mad Mouse Show, beginning at 7:30 Eastern Time, as well as at 9 o'clock for the Sports Exchange. We have a great doubleheader lined up tomorrow. Eric, go ahead and let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
You can follow me on my X account at Sports Team News. You can find my baseball columns at southfloridatribune.com. I also have my own Substack, and I also appear on various programming for South Florida Tribune. And if you think I don't like your team, I probably don't.
Mel? Mel?
Yeah, follow me on all social media at Melfar Jr. Follow what we have going on for youth here in Georgia and also in Michigan at melfarsuperstarfoundation.org.
Ed?
Well, you can find me here on Tuesday nights, on Sports Wrap Thursday nights, and then on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram as well.
And also, just a note on Thursday on Sports Wrap, it will be soccer in the next few weeks. So get ready for more World Cup coverage here on the South Florida Tribune YouTube network. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, you can find me right here on the South Florida Tribune every Tuesday and Thursday with Inside the Pigskin, and then the country club over there with Candy called Fire Up. You can also find me on the South Florida Tribune website where I write about the Detroit Lions, occasionally the Tigers and Red Wings. You can also find me right on my channel, which is the KCB Sports Network, where I have shows every day but Sunday, but that's going to change soon too.
I don't know how I can do it on Sunday, but I'll tell you, I only do what I have to do when I have to do it. Eric and I had a really nice show, though, on Saturday, didn't we, Eric? We talked about Eric Scooble. Don't kid yourself. That Saturday show is starting to pick up some momentum, and Eric does a really wonderful job on that show as well. I give him some extra opportunities like that his once in a while on Wednesday, and he does a well of a job on Saturday. There will be no show this Saturday, but it will pick up again on the 27th, as well as Candy and I take the track down to Key West. So with that said, great job by the group tonight. We thank OJ McDuffie for being on the show tonight. Jeremy, as always, a good job. And McAndrew, again, like you and I have a date on Thursday talking sport. Soccer. Mel, as usual, thanks for hanging in there a little while. Hope you had a good time with OJ, one of your NFL alums. Eric, we know what we got to do, and Candy, we know what we have to do. So with that said, that does it for this edition of Inside the Pigkin. On behalf of this group, and then some with OJ Juice, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Inside the Pigkin. Good night, everybody. See you on the network tomorrow for a doubleheader. Good night.